Hey everyone, and welcome back to the AnzenGuard Podcast. I'm Michael Reynolds, and with me, as always, is cybersecurity guru Laura Wilson.
It's great to be here.
Today, we are taking a deep dive into something that's become absolutely essential in our digital lives.
You know, it's funny. We lock our doors, we set alarms for our homes, but so many people leave their digital lives wide open.
It's true. And we're not talking about leaving your laptop at a coffee shop. We're talking about the keys to your entire online kingdom. Those passwords we all struggle to remember.
Right.
Think about it. How many passwords do you think the average person juggles these days?
Research suggests it's around 100.
100.
Yeah.
Wow.
No wonder people resort to writing them down on sticky notes. Or even worse, using the same password for everything.
Oh yeah, that's a bad idea.
It's like using the same key for your house, your car, and your safe deposit box.
Yikes. Talk about a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
And that's where password managers come in, right?
Exactly. They're like that super secure key ring that holds all your digital keys, but you only need to remember one master key to access them.
Okay. So it's like having a digital Fort Knox for your passwords. But what if I'm terrible at remembering passwords?
I hear you.
I mean, even coming up with one strong password can feel like a Herculean task, let alone a master password for an entire vault.
Remember that XKCD comic about password strength? It perfectly captures the struggle of creating a password. That's both memorable for us humans and impossible for computers to crack. But that's the beauty of password managers. They take that burden off your shoulders.
So walk us through it. How does this whole password manager thing actually work?
Well, once you've chosen a password manager and set it up, you create that all-important master password.
Uh-huh.
This is the only password you'll need to remember, so make it strong and memorable.
So
Then, as you visit different websites and create accounts, the password manager will prompt you to save your login credentials to its vault. It's like having a little digital assistant that remembers everything for you.
okay, that makes sense. So I only need to remember one password. And the password manager takes care of the rest.
Right.
Sounds convenient, but let's be honest. Convenience isn't the only reason to use a password manager. Right.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about security here.
Right.
And this is where password managers really shine. First of all, they can generate super secure passwords for you.
Okay.
Those random strings of characters that look like a cat walked across your keyboard.
Yeah, they're not pretty,
I know.
but they're effective.
They're incredibly effective against hackers.
It's funny because it's true. I've seen some of those generated passwords, and they're definitely not winning any beauty contests.
Yeah.
But hey, if they keep the bad guys out, I'm all for it.
Exactly. And here's another security bonus. Password managers can actually help protect you against phishing scams.
Okay.
Remember those fake emails or websites that try to trick you into giving away your login details? Well, a good password manager can recognize legitimate websites and won't autofill your credentials on suspicious sites. It's like having an extra layer of security guarding the entrance to your online accounts.
Wow, that's a feature I hadn't even thought about. I've definitely almost fallen for a phishing scam before.
Yeah.
So that kind of protection would be invaluable.
And think about this. What happens to your online accounts? If, heaven forbid, something happens to you,
Oh.
with a password manager, you can set up what's called digital inheritance. This allows you to grant access to a trusted individual, so they can manage your accounts in case of an emergency, or even after you're gone.
That's a really important point. We often forget about the long-term implications of our digital lives. It's not just about protecting ourselves in the present,
Right.
but also ensuring a smooth transition for our loved ones in the future.
Precisely. But let's not forget about the everyday convenience. Think about how much time you waste filling out online forms with your address, phone number, credit card info.
Oh, yeah.
A password manager can autofill all that for you, making your online life so much smoother.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal here. It's like having a personal assistant for your online life, one that's super secure and remembers everything for you.
And the cherry on top is that many password managers sync across all your devices.
Oh, wow.
So whether you're on your laptop, your phone, or your tablet, you have access to your passwords wherever you need them.
So it's like having your digital keys on a magical keychain. That's always with you no matter what device you're using. That's pretty impressive.
It is, and it all comes down to this. Using a password manager means you're not relying on your often faulty memory or risky nubbits like reusing passwords.
Right.
You're taking control of your online security and making things significantly harder for the bad guys.
Okay, you've definitely piqued my interest. But before we get too deep into the nitty-gritty, let's talk about the different types of password managers out there. I've heard there are a few options to choose from,
You're right.
each with its own pros and cons.
There are a few different flavors of password managers, each catering to different needs and preferences. We'll unpack those after this quick break.
All right, so we're back, and before the break, we were talking about how password managers are like having a digital Fort Knox for all our passwords.
Mm,
But you mentioned there are different types of password managers. Could you break those down for us?
you got it. Think of it like choosing a safe for your home. You have different options based on your needs and level of security.
Yeah.
With password managers, you've got three main types: desktop-based, cloud-based, and single sign-on, or SSO.
Yeah.
Each has its own strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, let's start with desktop-based password managers. What's the deal with those?
Desktop-based password managers are like having a safe bolted to the floor in your home office. Your passwords are stored locally on your device, be it your computer or laptop. This offers a high level of privacy because your data isn't floating around on someone else's server.
So it's like having your passwords under lock and key, literally. But what if I want to access my passwords from, say, my phone or a different computer?
That's the trade-off with desktop-based managers. They're great for privacy, but not so convenient if you switch devices frequently.
Right.
If you need access to your passwords from anywhere, then a cloud-based password manager might be a better fit.
Cloud-based, like storing everything online.
Exactly. It's like having a safe deposit box at a bank. Your encrypted passwords are stored on the provider's servers, but you can access them from any device with an internet connection. Think of it this way. Wherever you go, your passwords go with you.
That definitely sounds more convenient. For
Right.
someone like me who's always jumping between devices, any examples of reputable cloud-based password managers?
Oh, absolutely. NordPass and 1Password are two popular ones known for their strong security measures and user-friendly interfaces.
Got it. Now, what about this SSO thing? I've mostly heard that term used in workplaces.
Right. Single sign-on, or SSO, is like having a master key card that grants you access to different areas of a building.
Okay.
It allows you to use one set of credentials, single username and password, to access multiple applications or websites.
So instead of remembering separate logins for every work app, I just need one.
Precisely. It's a huge time saver, and often used by companies to streamline employee access and boost security. However, it's important to remember that SSO is typically managed by your organization, so your control over those credentials might be limited.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got desktop-based for privacy,
Right.
cloud-based for convenience, and SSO for streamlined work access. Lots of options. But I have to ask, what about security? We've all heard those stories about password managers getting hacked. Is it really safe to put all our eggs in one basket, so to speak?
It's a valid concern, and it's important to acknowledge that no system is 100% foolproof.
Right.
There have been cases where some password managers have been targeted, but their overall track record for security is quite strong.
So they're generally safe, but we should still be cautious.
Exactly. Reputable password managers use very strong encryption methods to protect your data. It's like putting your valuables in a safe that's incredibly difficult to crack. Plus, remember that two-factor authentication we talked about earlier. That adds an extra layer of security by requiring a second form of verification, like a code sent to your phone in addition to your master password.
Right. 2FA is like having a security guard posted at your vault. No unauthorized entry allowed. But even with all these precautions, some people might still be hesitant to use a password manager. What would you say to address their concerns?
I'd emphasize that the alternative, juggling dozens of weak or reused passwords, is far riskier.
Yeah.
It's like leaving your front door unlocked and hoping for the best. Password managers, when used correctly, significantly reduce your vulnerability to cyber attacks. They're like a security system for your digital life.
It's a great analogy. It really puts things into perspective. So for our listeners out there who are ready to take the plunge into the world of password managers, what are some best practices they should keep in mind?
That's a great question. What are the keys to becoming password pros?
Let's dive into some essential tips for maximizing your password security. Let's do it. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to cybersecurity.
Absolutely. First and foremost, never reuse passwords. It might seem tempting, but it's a recipe for disaster. Each online account you have should have its own unique and strong password. Think of it like this. If one account gets compromised, you don't want the domino effect of other accounts falling like a house of cards.
That makes perfect sense. One weak link can compromise the entire chain.
Exactly. And when creating these unique passwords, aim for what are called complex passphrases. Instead of using a single word with random characters, create a memorable phrase that's longer and more difficult to crack.
So instead of something like P at 123 hours. We're talking more like I love fluffy cats and tuna fish.
You got it. Make it personal, make it fun, but most importantly, make it secure. And of course, enabling two-factor authentication on all your accounts, including your password manager, is non-negotiable. It's like adding that extra deadbolt to your door.
Two-factor authentication. It's like having a security guard stationed at your vault. No unauthorized entry allowed. Okay, what else?
While free password managers can be a good starting point, consider investing in a paid version. They often offer additional features like secure file storage, VPN services, and more robust security measures. It's like upgrading from a basic safe to a state-of-the-art vault.
Like a premium vault with all the bells and whistles.
Exactly. And one final tip, especially for any businesses out there. Creating a password manager policy for your employees can go a long way. In promoting good password hygiene across the organization, it's all about creating a culture of security.
That's a great point. It sets a standard and makes sure everyone's on the same page when it comes to password security. So we've covered a lot of ground today, from understanding what a password manager is, to exploring the different types and benefits. We've addressed safety concerns and equipped our listeners with some practical tips for becoming password pros.
It's been a comprehensive deep dive into the world of password managers. Hopefully our listeners feel empowered to take control of their online security and embrace the convenience and peace of mind that these tools offer.
Well said. I think our listeners are probably starting to realize that. Password managers aren't just for techies or cybersecurity experts. They're for anyone who wants to simplify their digital life and make it a whole lot safer.
You're absolutely right. It's about taking that proactive step toward better online security, and it's easier than you might think.
So for our listeners who are still on the fence about password managers, what would you say is the biggest takeaway from our deep dive today?
I'd say the biggest takeaway is this. Using a password manager is like investing in an insurance policy for your digital life. You're protecting yourself from the potential chaos and headaches that come with weak passwords and data breaches. It's about peace of mind in a world where our digital lives are becoming increasingly intertwined with our everyday lives.
That's a great way to put it. It's not about being paranoid. It's about being prepared.
Right. And with so many great options out there, there's really no excuse not to give password managers a try.
Exactly. There's a password manager out there for everyone, whether you're a tech-savvy individual or just starting to think about online security.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
It's been my pleasure. Always happy to talk about all things cybersecurity.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of password managers. We hope you've learned something new and are feeling empowered to take control of your online security.
And don't forget, if you have any questions or want to share your own password manager tips, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely leave a comment below. And let's keep the conversation going.
And while you're at it, make sure to subscribe to the AnzenGuard Podcast for more deep dives into the world of cybersecurity and online safety. That's right. Hit that subscribe button, leave us a like, and share this episode with your friends, family, and anyone who could benefit from this valuable information. Let's spread the word about password security.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay safe online.
This is Michael Reynolds.
And Laura Wilson.
Signing off from the AnzenGuard Podcast.